get the audio. So go ahead, we're live.
All right, everybody, welcome back to the Kwak Brothers weekly live Q&A on the debt-free acceleration strategies. So I am firing up my computer right now so we can answer some questions that you guys may have. And for those who are part of our program, you guys should have our hotline number that should have been published in our Facebook group. So that you guys should have already. So another great week, another great summertime. I mean, it's weather's great, amazing here in Chicago area. Want to hear about you guys, right? How are you guys in your weather? A little curious about what other part of the country is going through right now. So, for those who have our hotline number, I got the phone here ready to go to answer any phone calls. For those who have the hotline number, and for those who are not part of our program, you could also ask questions through the chat box, which I'm looking to fire this up right now. So, yeah, I mean, yeah, we're just waiting on the YouTube site to pull up here. So we're gonna go ahead and get ready to answer any questions here.
Sounds good. So.
Okay, so David just gave us a thumbs up on the audio, which is good. Good. Okay. Which, by the way, guys, next week, a little update on our background. We're doing a little construction behind the scenes, but next Monday and Wednesday, we're gonna do a complete redo of our background. So we actually have, we're gonna mount a TV in the back. It's gonna be a large 65-inch TV that's gonna be mounted in the back with some amazing animation and logo. And we're also gonna be changing the background. I mean, I can't wait for you guys to check it out and see it. So, oh, there it is. So I'm gonna pull up my questions. So, all right, guys. So let's go and answer some questions that you guys may have. And it seems like there's not a whole lot of questions yet. I see Jesus says hello. Jesse Romero says hello. Welcome, guys. And so this is a fantastic time for you to ask any questions about the debt-free acceleration strategy. If you have any questions about real estate investing, I can also touch on that. But we usually dedicate our time on Wednesdays to answer specific questions pertaining to debt-free acceleration. So the chat box is open, guys. You guys are more than welcome to answer any questions or ask any questions about the debt-free acceleration strategy. I am here to help you guys and serve you guys in any capacity possible throughout the next hour. So we got 8 people watching. Okay, awesome. Welcome in. All right. Let's see. We got Jesus, who's actually I think Jesus is our regular. So welcome in. Okay. Jesse, I have not met yet, so welcome, Jesse. All right. Awesome. Well, cool, guys. So I guess I'll give you a little rant, an update until we have some questions coming in, because I don't see other questions coming in yet. So if you guys are not part of our Facebook group called the Landlord and Passive Income Mastermind Group, I definitely encourage you guys to do so. In fact, if you notice in the link description down below, we have the link to our Facebook group where you can go and actually interact with me on Facebook. And we have over 3,800 people in that group interacting and networking together. So if you have any other questions that are outside of our YouTube live session, Facebook group is going to be a good area or a good outlet for you to get plugged in with. And you can ask questions there as well as have conversations with me via Facebook. Now, another thing I do on Facebook that I don't regularly do on YouTube is that we have a dedicated podcast that we do on Facebook, which we like to call the 21 Days of Mental Detox Challenge. It's a phenomenal video for personal growth, personal development. So if you guys want to hop on that podcast that is exclusive for that Facebook group, I highly encourage you guys to join that Facebook group. And the link description is down below. You just need to expand the link description. And it's gonna be under where it says join our free Facebook mastermind group. That link is gonna go and take you to our exclusive Facebook group where you can join the group and interact not only with me, but also you can interact with my brother, as well as other members that are real estate investors or they're looking to pay off their debt. That's going to be part of that group. Now, I know it says landlord and passive income mastermind group, but generally we can take pretty much any question that pertains to whatever we teach here in the Kwak Brothers. So any question is fine as long as it's relevant. It's about real estate investing or it's about paying off your debt. Either is fine. As long as you stick to the topic, right? As long as you don't ask me questions like how far is Pluto from Earth? Okay, I don't know the answer to that question. I think Wikipedia will do a better job. But as long as you're sticking to the question of real estate investing or paying off your debt, we'll provide you an answer. Okay, June Daniel is asking, so debt acceleration is basically for if your checking or saving account is at 0. So I know June, and she just happens to be one of our students. So what she's asking and understanding her context and her situation. So for you, June, I'm going to answer this question for you. So for you in your situation, and I don't want to share a whole lot of private information, obviously, on a public domain, but I'm going to share as much as I can to at least paint the picture and solve the challenge that you're going through. So for your situation, since you have a HELOC, that doesn't necessarily allow you to pay every bill that you have. What you want to do is you want to connect. So I'm gonna do a really good illustration here. So let's say this is your HELOC, okay? And this is your checking account, okay? There we go. We got really odd objects that we're using here today to illustrate this. So you got your HELOC and your checking account. So remember, in this strategy, whenever you get paid, whenever you have money coming into this checking account, you're gonna have all that money, okay, be transferred over to none other than your HELOC. So your checking account ideally has to be zeroed out, okay? There shouldn't be any money in your checking account or your savings account. All of it should be going towards the HELOC, because your HELOC, when you lower the average daily balance, okay, if we take all the cash that we have on checking account / savings account and we throw it in the HELOC, this HELOC thing, okay, this is not a water bottle, this is a HELOC now. We're lowering the average daily balance on that HELOC. Now, what that does is ultimately it saves money. It reduces the amount of interest that we are owed over time. And this effect over time compounds, and we can save more and more and more interest the longer that we do this strategy. Now, there's gonna be bills that you can't necessarily pay out of your HELOC, right? Obviously you can write checks and do stuff that you can cover, you can pay expenses out of the HELOC. But for those items that you can't necessarily pay directly out of the HELOC, what you can do is you can connect these two things, connect the checking account and the HELOC using what's called the overdraft protection. Now, some banks are gonna charge you a fee for this. They're gonna charge a percentage, or they may charge you a flat fee per each overdraft protection transaction. So when you have it like this, whenever you spend money out of your checking account, remember your checking account is zeroed out. There's no money in this checking account, right? But all the money is parked in the home equity line of credit. Now, when the money leaves, when you swipe that debit card, or when you do an automatic transfer to pay a bill, or you do an ACH, whatever you do with your checking account, because there's $0 in your checking account, your overdraft protection kicks in and draws the money out of the HELOC and puts it in the checking account automatically to cover whatever expenses that you were trying to pay out of the checking account. Do that make sense? So this strategy, it doesn't necessarily work only if the checking account is zero per se, but if you're planning on using your checking account to still operate your expenses, pay for expenses and things like that, but all your cash is sitting in your HELOC, that's one way to do it. So you can take your checking account, home equity line of credit, you can connect them using what's called the overdraft protection. So that way, when you draw money out of the checking account, I know I'm repeating myself over and over, but I really want you to nail this down in your understanding. Whenever the money leaves, there's $0 in here, okay? Whenever the money leaves out of the checking account, it's gonna draw the money out of the HELOC automatically, hit the checking account, and then hit whatever you're trying to pay for. Okay, I hope that makes sense to you guys. Using a HELOC that really doesn't necessarily allow you to pay up for all the bills And I'll tell you guys right now, there are HELOCs that simply will not let you pay for simple items such as bills or ACH. So you're gonna have to use a checking account as more of a front-end vehicle, okay? But you're using the HELOC as your backup funding source, if you will, and you're using overdraft protection to transfer money to the checking account and to pay for whatever. To go from checking account to HELOC is rather easy. More often than not, banks are gonna have apps that will allow you to transfer the money from your checking account over to your HELOC in an almost instant, it may take a day, but at an almost instantaneous moment. So hope that gave you a good illustration. I know we used a really odd object here, but I hope that gave you some idea as to what we're talking about. Jesse Rhodes says, hi guys. Hi to you, Jesse. Jesse Romero says, so we're using the checking account as a sweep account. Yeah, so your checking account is pretty much like a sweep account. And there are banks that don't automatically do that for you, so you're gonna obviously have to do manually. That's why we like to introduce the all-in-one loan, AIO, all-in-one loan, which does the sweeping automatically and doesn't necessarily do an overdraft protection because the line of credit and the checking account are one product. Okay, it's called the all-in-one loan, and it's easy to do this strategy because the banks automatically transfer whatever is in your checking account over to your line of credit side without your intervention. And whenever you need to spend money out of the checking account, the bank will automatically draw the money out of the HELOC onto the checking account without any fees or penalties. So that's something that I'm a huge fan of when it comes to the all-in-one loan. Okay, Jesus Amuro is saying, and this is a comment to June, sort of more like utilizing every dollar to its maximum potential. Absolutely. So every dollar in your checking account and savings account must count towards the average daily balance reduction. So that's why we take all the, every dollar that we can find in our checking or savings account into the line of credit. In fact, this is what we do in our business, guys. We have what's called a business line of credit. And anytime we get paid by a customer, anytime our merchant account pays out to our checking account, we take whatever money that's sitting in your checking account and we throw it in the business line of credit. And we essentially use the business line of credit almost as our checking account. We operate out of our business line of credit, and we spend money out of the business line of credit. We buy and expense things out of the business line of credit. So our business line of credit, that's where we mostly do our operation and do what's called cash flow banking. We reduce the average daily balance, saving us interest, but still giving us power and liquidity to spend on things or invest things that are necessary to our business. Okay. Let's see. Diego is saying, if Finding Nemo were accurate, Marlin would have swapped genders. I'm not sure what Diego is talking about. Completely irrelevant to our topic here, but sure. I don't know what to say to that. Zaneta is asking, will it be okay just to leave some money on my checking account for the ACH, mortgage payment, and medical insurance payment? Yeah, sure. So one thing you can do is you may want to coordinate this in a way that it's saving you money, but at the same time, you can still pay for those bills that you just mentioned. So what I would do is I would try to get all the bills that are due on a single day, if at all possible. So I know you mentioned mortgage payment, medical insurance payment. What I would try to do is try to get those due dates on a single day so that you don't have to do a bunch of transfers throughout the month. So what I would do is take all the due dates, put it in a single due date, and right before the due date, draw the money out of the HELOC and leave it on your checking account. Okay? That way, what we're doing is we haven't spent an extra day that our dollars didn't count towards reducing the average daily balance. Does that make sense? I know it can be hard to understand without a proper illustration, but what we're aiming for is that we want the average daily balance as low as possible. We don't want any dollar or money sitting somewhere else not doing the work for us. So we want the money in our checking account and savings account to be parked at the HELOC but until the last minute that we need to absolutely use it for these types of bills that need to be paid out of the checking account. So, so what I would do, again, just to recap, is take as much of your due date possible into a single day, okay, whether it's the 28th or 29th of the month, put it all in a single due date, and then the day before the due date, draw the money out of the HELOC. That way you have money in your checking account that's ready to be ACH'd out to, you know, obviously medical insurance payment as well as your mortgage payment, okay? So I hope that helps with the understanding of maximizing the savings, but at the same time still accommodating for some of the things that we still have to pay for, medical insurance payment as well as mortgage payment that needs to be paid out of the checking account. Okay, good question, excellent question. This is phenomenal. Well done. Okay, so I don't see any other question so far. Okay, but obviously you guys know the chat box is always open throughout the show. So just to give you guys my rant here, just waiting on the questions to come through. One thing that a lot of people haven't really bought in, and this is something that I've noticed with individuals that are wanting to pay off their debt, but they're not really quite bought into this concept, is getting into real estate investing. Now, the reason why we push the real estate investing so much so is it's an excellent retirement vehicle. And I would almost argue to the point where I believe that investing in real estate is superior to investing in stocks, bonds, and mutual funds. In fact, Daniel and I, my brother and I, we have never invested in stocks other than a few moments in college where I was playing around with stocks and lost all my money. But Daniel and I, we don't invest in other vehicles other than real estate investing. Now, the reason being is that, number one, and I would make a case for real estate. Number one is that real estate, you can't make more of real estate. You just can't. It's not artificial. It's real property. It's earth, right? You can't make more of earth. You just, there's finite amount of it. There's a lot of it in comparison to us, right, the human race. But what I love about real estate is it becomes more valuable for every human that's born into this planet, okay? Because there's gonna be less earth per capita. So I love real estate for that reason. But another thing is, I know there's a misconception that real estate always appreciates. It's not necessarily true. What I really like about real estate is that it generates cash flow. It's income producing. I can rent out my real estate to a tenant that's gonna pay me a monthly rent. So picture this, right? This is a great retirement vehicle for those who are thinking about retirement. Is imagine having 10 rental properties that are being managed by a professional manager, and let's say it's all paid off because you used our strategy at its best, and you were able to pay off all the debt that you have on your rental property. Now, seeing that it's all paid off, you don't have any financing on it, you don't have any mortgage on it. Let's say you're generating $800 a month per property from the cash flow from the tenants. So that's 800 times 10 properties. That can mean $8,000 added into your monthly cash flow without ever having to exert extra time into work, nor do you have to clock in or clock out of your job. So real estate is a phenomenal retirement vehicle for those who are thinking about retirement. It's a great way to not only retire, but also gives you that security as well as the flexibility in cash flow. Thank you, Chris, for that boost of the books there. Which, by the way, guys, a little shameless plug. If you guys have not gotten our free book, absolutely free, all you have to do is pay for the shipping. This is called 0 to 75 rental units. There we go, boom. I know we're out of focus, but 0 to 75 units in just 1 year. This is a book that my brother and I wrote on how we went from 0 rental units to 75 rental units in just 1 year. And yes, it is absolutely true. I wish I could make these things up, but it's absolute truth that we went from 0 to 75 rental units in just 1 year. And we're gonna show you the strategies and type of mindset that is required to get from 0 to 75 units. So having 75 units means that we have 75 tenants that are paying us rent every single month. Obviously, you would imagine how much security and financial security that brings us, having passive income coming in. So that's something that we endorse highly here in the Kwak Brothers. Is not only do we want to help you pay off your debt, but we also want to help you plan out your quote unquote offensive strategy to create income so that you can eventually don't have to rely on your job, don't have to rely on your boss. You can solely have your rental properties take care of your financial needs. All right, so we got a couple more questions, I believe. Here we go. Jesse Romero is asking, what's your thought on vacant land to hold for future sales or to invest by placing a home to rent or sell? So one thing for sure, Jesse, is if you want to buy vacant land, it does take special knowledge as well as expertise in the area. Now, one thing that you're betting on when you're buying land is you're betting that there's going to be either a population increase or there's going to be a surge of demand for people to want to buy or rent home. So what you're doing is when you're building new property, when you're building a new home, let's say on a vacant land, you're adding supply to the market. You're creating more of inventory. You're adding more housing, which could do one or two things. It can actually cheapen the rent cost. If there's too many supply, if there's too many rental properties per capita, then it could actually lower the rent. Another thing is if you actually have carefully studied and done your research and you know that there's going to be a large population increase in your area, then that could be a good thing. You may actually help the economy by balancing out the supply and demand. So if you're brand new, Jesse, I would recommend that you do some more education before buying land, because doing land development deals does take a little bit more expertise than just buying a rental property and then renting it out. So if I were you, I would spend at least a couple months studying the land development slash the land real estate, vacant land real estate topic. I would give that some time to study and research before taking any action and actually doing something for our land. One thing I don't like about raw land is that it doesn't produce cash. There's no cash flow unless you do something that's creative, such as letting a farmer rent it out from you, or renting it out to the carnival or festivals, right? Then maybe you can generate some cash, but it's not like a rental property where you have consistent income coming in. So raw land is something that we don't invest in a whole lot, mainly because we want to invest in something that we can generate cash flow from day one, okay? All right. Zenaida is saying, thanks, Sam, for guidance. Appreciate it. And I appreciate you, Zenaida, for coming in to our YouTube Live. I almost said Facebook. I almost offended the YouTube gods. Thank you for coming on YouTube Live. I appreciate you coming on board and asking questions. And I'm glad that we can help you out and give you some clarity as to your situation and your learning journey. Okay? All right. So back to my case for real estate. Another thing that I appreciate about real estate is that over 90% of the top millionaires here in the United States have been created through the vehicle of real estate. So just think about that, right? 90% of millionaires have become millionaires through real estate. So that gives you an idea. If you want to be a millionaire, or if you want to grow your wealth, you want to grow your generational wealth, let's say, chances are you may want to do it in real estate, since most of the millionaires have become a millionaire through real estate. Now, another reason why I love real estate is that banks perceive real estate as less of a risk. And I'll put this in an analogy. Let's say you decide to go to the bank and you ask the banker for a loan because you want to invest in Microsoft stocks. I'm just gonna throw it out there, okay? So let's say you want to invest in stocks, you go to the bank and ask them for a $100,000 loan for a Microsoft stock. Chances are the banks aren't gonna do it unless you're some billionaire, right? Celebrity. Chances are it's not gonna happen. But if you go into a bank and say, hey, I want to borrow $100,000 for this home, can you make it happen? And the banker's like, sure, let's go and get your application. Let's go take a look at it, and let's do an appraisal, right? So if the banks see that the real estate I'm sorry, I'm gonna retract my thoughts here. If the banks see the real estate as less of a risk than lending for stocks, then why would you ever want to invest in? Well, let me retract that statement too. Why would you ever want to invest in stocks when the banks see that stocks as a higher risk than real estate? Right? Does that make sense? So banks are in the business of mitigating risk, right? They're in the business of assessing risk as much as possible, because when they're lending money, they want to make sure that the money is being returned with interest. So because the banks are in the business of mitigating risk as well as assessing risk, you have to sort of trust the bank's process of knowing that real estate is a much less of a risk than investing in other vehicles such as stocks, bonds, and mutual funds. The banks will sell you stocks, bonds, and mutual funds because they make commissions and money, okay? But they will never lend money to you for stocks, bonds, and mutual funds. Let me be less absolute about that. They'll virtually never lend you money on stocks, bonds, and mutual funds, because they may, sometimes they may get high on drugs and they may just lend you money. But who knows? That's what happened in 2007 and 2008 when everyone was drunken behind the wheel and no one was paying attention to what was going on. That's what happened with the market crash. But in all seriousness, if you're serious about retirement and building a retirement strategy, I would highly consider real estate investing as a vehicle for you to do so versus some of the other investment vehicles out there. And and one thing that I had to sort of refute as well is we have to get away from this appreciation or I would say accumulation mindset. Accumulation mindset is how much eggs can I put in my basket, right? How much eggs can I put in my basket so that I can last long enough when I retire? But instead of thinking that way, why not think of ways to actually invest in a goose that lays the eggs for you so that you don't ever have to worry about your eggs running out, right? I know there's a lot of saying that goes to say don't put all of your eggs in one basket. Well, my philosophy is get a goose so that it lays eggs for you for the rest of your life and you don't ever have to worry about running out of eggs, period. Okay, so that's why I love rental properties and real estate, is because as long as I hold the rental properties in the right way and I have a good management team and I'm doing the maintenance, I have income coming in, right? And for the rest of my life, unless I sell the property. So that's why I'm a huge fan of real estate versus investing in stocks. Sure, you get paid dividends now and then, quarterly or annual dividends, but you got to have such a significant position in a property, in a company. You got to have a large amount of stocks that you own to have enough dividends to at least pay for your living. But what I like about real estate is you can borrow against real estate and get financing, right? You can depreciate against real estate, which also is a great tax saving strategy, and it generates income for you as long as you have a solid tenant as a management team. So that's my little, spiel on why I love real estate and why you guys should also consider investing in real estate versus some of the other investment vehicle. Here in the Kwak Brothers, we are a huge proponent of real estate investing. So we have something like 180 videos just on real estate investing. So definitely go check it out, absolutely for free. And of course, if you want to get deeper, we do have programs to teach you how to invest in real estate. And the ways that we went from 0 to 75 rental units, and we can teach you that through our programs as well. Okay. All right. Jesus Zamora is asking, how much does it cost to get a line of credit, personal or home? So personal line of credit, there's going to be an annual fee, typically anywhere between $35 to $100, depending on how big your personal line of credit is. If you're looking to get a home equity line of credit, those two are two different types of line of credit. One's unsecured and one is secured. So personal line of credit is unsecured. There's no collateral, there's no security, there's no asset that you're tying the line of credit to. It's virtually a glorified credit card, right? Your credit card is a type of an unsecured line of credit. So with the personal line of credit, you do have an annual fee. What's different about your personal line of credit versus a credit card is the access to cash. On a credit card side, if you want access to cash, we call it what? Okay, we call it advances, right? Cash advances. And it can be very expensive to get cash advances from your credit card. But your personal line of credit it's pretty much like getting cash advance, but at a much lower interest rate, and there's no fee. it's much convenient to draw cash out of your personal line of credit versus a credit card. So that's why I'm a bigger fan of the personal line of credit versus a credit card. Sure, you're gonna need your credit card to buy these little things like groceries and little expenses, but at the end of the day, I like to use the personal line of credit for cash flow banking purposes, as well as using the personal line of credit for the strategy. Now, on the home equity line of credit side, it is secured by your home, right? It's secured by real estate, and that's one of the big reasons why your home equity line of credit interest rate is going to be lower than your personal line of credit interest rate, because it's actually secured. It's there's less risk. If you don't pay your home equity line of credit, the banks can go in and foreclose and get the property from you. So there's a little bit more of a safety net for the banks. Therefore, they're giving you less of an interest rate charge on your home equity line of credit. Now, when it comes to initially setting up for a home equity line of credit, obviously there's going to be a closing cost. Although most banks don't charge you a closing cost, it will just be a setup cost, a small $50, $100 closing cost. You also have annual fee, anywhere between, again, $35 to $100. Some banks don't even charge an annual fee, but they may charge a slightly higher interest rate. So that's where they're getting that money from. Another thing is with the home equity line of credit, they may have to appraise your home. So you may have to pay for an appraisal, which can be anywhere between $300 to $800 of a fee to get things appraised. So just keep that in mind. There's going to be a little bit more of an upfront cost for the home equity line of credit, but you are going to see a lower interest rate versus a personal line of credit. And with the home equity line of credit, you're going to get a much larger amount as a limit versus a personal line of credit. Most personal line of credit will go as far as $20,000 to $25,000 line. The average personal line of credit that I see, a lot of the people that I see that get personal line of credit will get a $5,000 limit, $10,000 limit, $7,000 limit. So you're not going to get a whole lot, honestly. Unless you're making a lot of money and your debt to income ratio looks great. But just keep that in mind with the home equity line of credit. You are going to get a much larger line, mainly because it's secured by real estate. And again, it all comes down to assessment of risk and how much risk is the bank carrying when it comes to borrowing and lending you money. Cool? All right. June Daniel is asking, I understand right now is a seller's market and we should save for when the buyer's market comes around. Sure. And again, I'm not saying that you shouldn't buy real estate at all. There's still going to be opportunities. It's just that there's going to be less opportunities to buy. And when there's less opportunities to buy, the price to buy those opportunities, quote unquote, is going to be much higher, right? Because if there's less of a supply, and there's a high demand, the cost has to go up to sort of balance out the demand. So yeah, that gives you a little bit of my philosophy in terms of real estate and economy. Again, not saying that it's impossible to buy. It's just harder to buy. Okay. All right, so it says, is rental income considered taxable regular income when using an LLC? Well, Jesse, I'll tell you right now, it's whether you have an LLC, a corporation, a limited partnership, you're a sole proprietor, really doesn't affect how things get taxed. Now, I'm not a CPA, I'm not an accountant, so you may want to consult and ask this question to a CPA or an accountant. But from what I understand is that your rental income is considered passive. So there are ways to mitigate some of those taxes, such as using depreciation. Okay, when you can depreciate against your rental property, you can write off a piece of your equity, which is great, which is nice. Obviously, you can also write off expenses or any sort of bills that directly tie into your rental property. So obviously, you can write off the interest on your rental property. If you have a mortgage, you can write off your management costs. You can write off your maintenance, unless it's an improvement. You can write off your repairs, write off any lost rent. So there's a lot of things you can write off to mitigate those taxes. I think depreciation is where you're gonna get the most amount of tax benefit, honestly, and that's gonna leave you with a less of a tax bill at the end of the year. So make sure you consult with the CPA slash an accountant. And your taxable gains and taxable rate can also change depending on how much of an income you have, where your income comes from, are you a real estate professional or not? That can all change how things are being taxed for you. So make sure you consult with a CPA slash an accountant to get a more accurate answer for your given situation, okay? All right. So guys, I'm definitely excited for next week because we're gonna have the entire background of our studio completely transformed. Super excited. It's gonna look pretty. It's gonna look nice. We're gonna have lots of things to come about. So I'm definitely excited for the growth. And you can definitely support our YouTube channel for sure by subscribing and clicking on the bell icon to get notified as to when we do our live videos. And who knows, we may do a spontaneous live video, you know, in an evening or afternoon, or a special event comes around. Who knows? So you want to make sure you get notified when we have our next live video, as well as when we publish a video, typically on Tuesday and Thursdays at noon Central Time. So make sure you subscribe and also hit the bell icon, and so you guys get notified whenever we get new videos coming out. And we have a ton of videos, guys. We're filming a ton of videos right now. We have content already scheduled to be released all the way till August. So super excited for all the videos that are gonna come out. And which, by the way, if you have any content suggestion, if you want us to cover any topics or do a video of a question that you may have, please feel to suggest any content or an idea that you want us to take and film. We would love to take any suggestions or feedback from you guys. So yeah, guys, any suggestions you guys can make about our videos, content idea, themes, topics, really anything. We do these videos just for you guys. We don't do these videos just for, you know, out of our own fun and for our own, you know, satisfaction. Of course, you know, we enjoy doing these videos, but more so we do it with the mission at hand, knowing that we want to help you become financially free. We want to help you become more, you know, financially stronger, financially literate, financially aware. And we want to ultimately give you that freedom, you know, being able to spend more time with your family, taking control of your finances, as well as, you know, just getting more awareness into how you can help and shape your community and create an impact, not only for your family, but for the generation to come. So that's what we do here, you know, in the Kwak Brothers studio, as well as the Kwak Brothers program. Is everything that we do is dedicated to you guys and your goals. And we can't do that unless we know what your goals are, and we don't know how to help you unless we know your challenges and some of the hurdles that you guys are going through. So help us to help you, just as Tom Cruise would say. At any rate, if you guys can send us an email or comment down below any suggestions, we would love to take it and incorporate it to our future videos as well as our YouTube channel. Cool? All right, so I don't see any other questions. Again, the chat box is always open throughout the show, which, you know, if I see a question, I'll go and answer it. Yeah, next Monday, Daniel will be back to do his real estate investing Q&A. If you have any questions about real estate investing, apartments, short sale, fix and flip, wholesaling, and I think one thing we're gonna do is we're gonna invite guests to appear live in the show. I think we may have to spice things up. So we'll go and invite specific guests, experts in our area, and we'll invite them to our show to appear live, so that they can also answer any questions that we may have. We actually might invite a CPA slash an accountant to our live show, so that they can answer any questions that you guys may have in regards to taxes, saving money on real estate taxes, as well as your income taxes. So that's something we might do. We may also bring in an attorney to answer any questions that you guys may have about real estate law, business law. You know, you might be closing on a property, or you might be dealing with a seller and you're not sure what the legal ramifications are in your given situation. We're gonna bring an attorney to answer some of the questions you guys may have live right here in the Kwak Brothers show. So we may incorporate those. Just, you know, I'm talking out loud here, just getting some ideas myself. But any suggestions that you guys may have, we are always open to them. Okay. Cool. All right, so it is 11:40. We got a couple more minutes. There's no more question. We'll go and wrap this up early, but guys, this is for you. We don't invest this time from 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. Central Time just for our own, fun and giggles. We do it for you. So, okay, Matt Smith is asking, how do you raise private money for portfolios of properties from asset managers? So, just wanted to get some clarifications from you, Matt. Are you trying to raise money to acquire a portfolio from a property manager? Is that what I'm hearing? I'm just wanting to get some clarification on your question so that I can answer this question in a more effective manner. And yeah, I just want to get some clarity and certainty before I blurt out an answer for you. Okay, so while Matt types in to clarify his question, I'm going to go and answer the next question before we go back to answering Matt's. Callie Sakai is asking, hi Sam, you mentioned to have all bills around the same date. Will the credit card companies, mortgage, etc., change the date if requested? Yes, some companies will do this. They'll do this. I know Citibank does. USAA does as well. I'm not sure about any other banks, but my banks will. And I have done it before where my credit card company, one credit card company had their due date on the 22nd. The other credit card due date was 28th. And the other one was 29th. And I'm like, oh my goodness, I don't want to have to worry about which days goes where. So I'm going to call all my credit card companies and say, hey, put it all on the same sticking day on the 28th. That way I can just do a batch payment out to all my credit cards and I don't have to worry about it. Okay, so that's what I did when I was consolidating everything, and when I was using this strategy, I did that so that I can get all the expenses to be paid out on a single day. Okay, so yes, it is possible. You just need to give them a call and ask, and they'll make it happen. Cool. Matt Smith is saying, from asset manager at banks, so when market turns, I have funds raised. Okay, excellent question. Thank you for clarification, Matt. I appreciate your follow through there. So when raising private money, this is something that Daniel is working on a lot. So Daniel can probably expand this more than I could. But in the beginning, when we first raised money for real estate, we had a lot of rejections. People said, no, sorry, I don't want to give you money. But there's two schools of thoughts, and I'm going to give you the answer in two parts. The first part is you have to get educated. You need to know what you're doing, because when you go and have conversations with these private lenders / investors, they're going to want to invest with you and trust you that you know what you're doing. So to better do that, you want to get educated. You want to make sure that you know what you're doing. You know how to analyze deals. You know how to also analyze the market. You want to do all of that. And you want to be an expert at real estate investing even before you have your first deal or you buy your first rental property. And what I mean by an expert in real estate investing is you know all the laws, you know the rules, you know how and what questions to ask. Those things will at least prepare you and give you some confidence when you go out there and actually deploy. With that being said, the second answer is when you have those knowledge, when you know how to negotiate and you know how to analyze the market and the deal, you also have to understand how to present your deals. So I wish I had an example, but usually what we do when we present our deals is we put together a binder of an executive summary. Okay, like a pro forma type of thing. So, it could range anywhere between 20 to 30 pages of just raw data, as well as our analysis and all the information supporting why the deal is gonna be great. So we put together a package and we print it out, right? It's nicely binded, like a pamphlet type of thing. And we hand them out to all the people we know that we believe that they have, some sort of fund or money or cash sitting in their bank account, and they're waiting to invest in something. Now, to get to those people, a lot of people don't know that they can actually use their 401ks and their IRA, their retirement vehicle, to invest in real estate. So Matt, one thing that you could ask yourself or ask around is who in my family or who out of my friends / my extended family have a 401k / an IRA, because what you could do is you can roll over a traditional 401k or a traditional IRA into what's called a self-directed IRA / self-directed 401k. In a self-directed retirement plan, you can, allowable by law, invest in real estate or invest in a promissory note. What that means is that they can go ahead and partner with you, create a partnership where their retirement vehicle, their self-directed retirement plan, has 50% ownership of an LLC or a partnership, and you, the investor, right, has the other 50% of the LLC / partnership, however you set it up, depending on what your attorney does for you. That way, you can have your friends / extended relatives 401k fund the next project or deal that you're working on. Does that make sense? So you can use other people's 401k and IRA, roll it over to a self-directed retirement plan, which will allow you to use those funds for real estate investing. So this gives you access to a lot of funds. If you really look around, there's gonna be a lot of people who do have a 401k or an IRA. They could be a potential partner in your next real estate deal. So this is a phenomenal way to do it when you're first starting out, when you don't have funds to buy portfolios from asset managers through banks or whatever. But that could be a good way to get started in raising capital. Now, down the road, when you get more experience and when you pick up some more knowledge and you have a portfolio built in, what's interesting is that you're gonna start to attract people that have large sum of cash, but they just don't know what to do with it. And they're coming to you because you already have an experience, you already have rental properties, you have knowledge, you have expertise, and that's honestly where we're at. Daniel and I are at a position where money just shows up. Okay, people sends us an email or they send us a Facebook message saying, "Hey Sam, hey Daniel, we got $1 million in our checking account. We don't know what to do with it. You guys seem to be an expert. We would love to partner with you on a deal that you guys may have." Boom, right? So that's typically what happens when you hit that expertise. Now, what's funny is that when you become an expert, when you become someone who's knowledgeable in real estate investing, you really never have to use your own money ever again. You really don't, because money will just show up. You'll attract money because you have solutions to what most people don't have. Okay, you have ways to create opportunities through your expertise and knowledge, whereas someone who's brand new, someone who's getting started, even if they have $1 million cash in their checking account, may not know how to create those opportunities. So you being the expert, you being someone who's educated, and the person that has experience, okay, the more knowledge that you have, the more money that you can attract, okay? This is why doctors get paid more than someone who, let's say, who's a janitor, okay? No disrespect to any janitors out there, but doctors simply get paid more on average based on U.S. Department of Labor and Bureau of Statistics. So my point is, get more education, get more knowledge, get more experience, and you'll attract more money simply by the fact that you can create more opportunities and solutions for challenges and problems out there in real estate investing world, okay? So I hope that gave you some idea as to how to raise some capital. Self-directed retirement planning is a wonderful and beautiful ways to raise money from other people. That's actually one of the ways that we raise capital initially to do our fix and flips as well as buy our rental properties. So that's something that you should study. That's something that you guys should look into and educate yourself and study the laws behind these things. It's really important to stay compliant and make sure that you don't cross any lines that you shouldn't be crossing, okay? All right. Before I answer the next question, let me just take a quick sip of water here. Okay. Kelly Sakai is also asking, what are your thoughts on having two separate LLC line of credit, one for business, one for personal, so as to not to commingle expenses? Yeah, absolutely, that's great. I have a personal line of credit and our business has a separate business line of credit. So yes, I would keep those two items separate and apart from each other so that you're not commingling any funds. That way you don't pierce your corporate veil or your LLC veil. You want to protect each of your assets, so keep them as separate as much as possible. Okay, Bees Nuts 22, funny, is saying, would you sell your expensive car to put as a down payment for a second property? So here's a thought. You can, and let me ask you this. Is your expensive car generating income for you? Okay, if it's not, if it's just sucking gas and it's taking cash away from you, then probably yes. Now, here's another idea. What if you can take your expensive car and figure out how to create income from it? I know a good friend that he's got a Ferrari California, beautiful car, wonderful car. I wish I had one, okay? He's got a Ferrari California, and what he does is he rents it out to modeling agencies so that modeling agencies can use the car to take pictures, do promotions, do events, and he gets paid pretty good dollars to do it. Another thing that I see a lot of people do is they take their exotic cars and luxury cars and rent it out on Turo, generating income. So that could be something that you can do immediately to generate cash and turn your liability into an income-producing asset. Now, if you're not really about that, if any of that doesn't intrigue you, then I think it might be ideal to sell the car, buy an income property, buy a rental property that generates income for you, and take whatever income that's generated from that property and go back and buy that car. That way, your rental property is at least covering the expenses of your nice, expensive car. So always think of ways, how can I generate income? What can I do to not only buy liabilities, but also create asset to go for the liability? So whenever I want to, let's say I want a brand new car, like I want to buy a brand new Ferrari, and that's what I want, okay? For example, I'm gonna go and mastermind and figure out a plan to buy enough rental properties so that it covers the monthly payment as well as the expenses for my nice and luxury Ferrari car. Okay, so always think of ways, how can I create, before I go and buy something, how can I create an opportunity to generate income, okay, so that it covers those liabilities? Instead of taking my $100,000 and buying a brand new car, how can I take that money, buy a income producing property or income producing business, that way it can generate income so that I can buy the car of my dreams or whatever. Okay, that's how wealthy people think. Wealthy people don't go off and saying, I have $100,000, so I'm just gonna blow it on a car. Nope. What they do is they think of ways, okay, how can I make this liability that I'm about to buy to be to self-liquidate itself through other assets that I'm gonna buy, okay? I have another guy that I know who bought a Lamborghini and turned the Lamborghini into a moving billboard. He advertises things on his Lamborghini, and he was able to buy it as a business expense, and it's generating income for him. And he gets to drive down the highway with the Lamborghini, so it's pretty cool. So yeah, think of ways to generate income before buying a liability or things that don't necessarily generate income for you, okay? Andrew Holcomb is asking, when it comes to the HELOC strategy, would it save you more money to apply your money directly to the mortgage and having a line of credit for emergency? No. So this is something that a lot of people can't compute, and it's not your fault for you not being able to compute this, because I really blame the public education for not teaching any of this. But when it comes to the HELOC strategy, it is better that you take all of your money and put in your HELOC because it lowers the average daily balance and it saves you more money by taking all of your income and throwing it in the HELOC and then using the HELOC to pay for expenses. What it does is it lowers the average daily balance for even though a short amount of period of time, but that short amount of period of time, while compounded throughout the next 10 years, it's gonna save you a lot of money. And in fact, we created a calculator that'll give you a comparison doing extra payments to the mortgage versus using the strategy. 99% of the time, using the strategy always wins and saves more time and money. So you can download that calculator if you go to chopmymortgage.com, CHOPMY mortgage, MORTGAGE.com, chopmymortgage.com. Download the calculator and it's gonna show you which strategy is gonna save you more money in your given situation. And I'm willing to bet that it's gonna be our strategy, the debt-free acceleration strategy. So it has to do with the average daily balance reduction. Not just reduction using the extra money that you have sitting around, okay? it has to do with the entire income utilization. It has to do taking with all your money and attacking the principal balance on the HELOC, lowering the average daily balance, and giving you that extra interest saving as well as time saving. Okay, Dragon X-ish is it a good idea to borrow a chunk from your 401k to pay for your mortgage? So a good question, and this is something that I would ask is, are you going to save more money by taking the money from your 401k and putting it on your mortgage, or are you gonna earn more money by leaving the money in your 401k? So let's say your interest rate is on your mortgage is 5%. Okay, if your interest rate on your mortgage is 5%, but you're only earning 3 or 4% on your 401k, right? Hello, like you probably should be putting that on the mortgage, mainly because it's gonna earn you more. It's gonna give you that 1% difference of a margin. It's gonna earn you more money by taking all of your cash and putting it on your mortgage. Does that make sense? You're on the mortgage, you're set to pay that expense. You're scheduled to pay those interests throughout the next 20, 30 years, okay? But on your 401k, if your average earning is 3 to 4%, and that's all you're earning on an annualized basis, then you're gonna save more money by taking that same amount of dollar and putting it on the mortgage versus leaving it on your 401k. It's all about the opportunity cost, okay? It's all about the opportunity cost, and it has to do with when you save money, you're earning money, right? Benjamin Franklin has a great quote, penny saved is penny earned. So when you save that extra percent on your mortgage versus your 401k that's only earning you 3 to 4%, you've essentially made money in a sense that you've saved money, okay? Matt Smith is saying, I've been watching a few self-directed IRA videos from Quest. Thank you for the answer. Absolutely. So guys, it is 11:56 Central Time. We're gonna go ahead and wrap the show here today. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in, watching our show week in and week out. I appreciate all of you for being around. And I think we're gonna start bringing guests to our shows to answer questions live that you may have. So we may have an insurance broker, we may have a real estate attorney, we may have a tax professional to come in and answer any questions that you guys may have. So we'll create those opportunities for you guys to ask any questions to specific professionals that we know of in our network. So we'll start to roll that out pretty soon here. And guys, once again, thank you so much for tuning in. I'll see you guys next Wednesday. Daniel will be here next Monday to continue our real estate investing Q&A. All right, thank you so much, guys. Have a good rest of your day.